They chuckled when you were down. They ridiculed when you went unnoticed. They thought your quietness signaled defeat. But what they didn't realize is that God was preparing a feast right before your adversaries. You weren't overlooked. You were being shaped. Welcome back, chosen one. This message speaks to those who journeyed alone, who shed tears in silence while others reveled in your struggles. You were told you'd never succeed, but now everything is shifting. The very mouths that belittled you are now witnessing your rise with astonished eyes and hearts heavy with regret. They laughed too soon, and now they're pleading to share in what God is crafting in your journey. But listen intently, because what's unfolding next isn't merely about you. It's about the one who sent you. It's about the power that kept you alive when no one understood your burdens. This isn't just a comeback. It's a spiritual turnaround, a divine flip so astounding that even your foes won't be able to deny it. If you think it's powerful now, just wait until the final moments of this message, for by then, you'll understand why God allowed their laughter and why He's now showcasing you as proof that He never misses. So before we delve deeper, tap that like button to guide this message through the algorithm to another chosen one on the verge of rising. Subscribe to Heaven Whispers if you haven't already, because this isn't mere motivation, it's prophetic guidance. And comment 99 below as a spiritual testament that no weapon formed against you has prospered, not one. Now, take a breath, for what comes next will dispel every doubt. They laughed too soon. Their mockery stemmed not from your weakness, but from their blindness. They judged you by what they could see: the struggle, the quiet moments, the seasons when nothing seemed to flourish. But they completely overlooked what was brewing beneath the surface. For underneath the pain lay preparation. Beneath the solitude was divine direction. Amid your battles was a call so significant that it had to remain hidden, even from you, until the destined time. He was despised and rejected by mankind, a man of suffering, and we esteemed him not. Isaiah 53:3. They couldn't see the inferno you walked through silently. They didn't recognize the nights you wept, desperately praying for strength to keep moving forward. They failed to understand that what appeared to be a breakdown was actually a divine breaking forth, allowing God to pour new oil into your spirit. The adversary exploited them, their ignorance and scorn, because he understood something they didn't. You were carrying a kingdom mission. When God marks someone with a purpose, the first thing He does is cloak them. He conceals you in plain sight, cloaking you with layers of obscurity, allowing you to seem ordinary on the outside while He cultivates something extraordinary within. That's why they couldn't see the crown. That's why they abandoned you. That's why they asked, "Why are you still trying? Nothing's ever going to change." But heaven was silent because heaven was active. You weren't rejected due to your worthlessness. You were rejected because your presence unsettled their comfort zones. Your light made their darkness uneasy. Your dreams stirred their complacency, and your faith caused their fears to tremble. God permitted it, not to harm you, but to safeguard the growth He was fostering. For if you had been celebrated too early, if they had acknowledged you during your cocoon phase, they would have tainted the integrity of your process. Butterflies don't seek permission from caterpillars to soar, and chosen ones don't wait for blind souls to validate their vision. So don't be shocked that they didn't recognize you. Don't mourn those who departed. God ensured they remained blind to it all, because your ascent wasn't meant to be fueled by their applause. It was meant to be ignited by his fire. And here's the truth. They didn't see your true self then, but now they won't be able to overlook you. For when God is ready to unveil what he has crafted in secret, no demon in hell, no scoffer from your past, and no critic on the sidelines can thwart what he is about to accomplish. You've been underestimated just long enough, and what's about to unfold will silence every voice that opposed you. But here's where it gets deeper, because what if the ridicule was never really about you at all? What if the mockery was a test, the silence your training ground? What if the very ones who mocked you are about to witness a transformation so profound that they'll be compelled to exclaim, "Surely God was with them all along"? Stay with me as we are about to explore why God allowed the mockery on purpose. Trust me, the insight will recalibrate everything you thought you knew. Are you ready? Let's dive deeper. Let's clarify one thing. God could have silenced them. He could have revealed the truth prematurely. He could have vindicated you the moment they lied, the instant they mocked, the moment they turned away. But he didn't. Why? Because heaven doesn't rush vengeance. It orchestrates it. You were never being punished. You were being primed. God wasn't ignoring your pleas. He was engineering a divine setup so brilliant, so deliberate, so public, that not even your foes could refute it. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Psalm 23:5. Not after they've departed, not in secret, but right before them. That's why he left them to mock you. That's why he didn't intervene, because what you perceived as silence from God was actually divine strategy. Each whisper behind your back, every insult that struck your core, every insincere grin and clandestine dialogue became breadcrumbs leading straight into God's courtroom. Your embarrassment became a courtroom record, their jeering evidence against them. He documented it all, not to shield you from them, but to protect his promise to you from being prematurely revealed to the wrong people. For if God had justified you too soon, they would have taken credit for your ascent. They would have claimed they were influential in your rise, declaring they always believed in you. But no, God said, let them laugh first. Let them undervalue you. Let them mock your dreams. Let them walk away believing they've won. Because the greater the denial, the more dramatic the divine reversal. Your disgrace wasn't your conclusion. It was heaven's opening statement. The derision was the drum roll before the manifestation. And here's the twist they never expected. While they were laughing at your struggles, God was elevating your name. While they gossiped in circles, heaven was preparing your crown in isolation. And while they assumed you were done, God was orchestrating your resurrection. For when God wants to reveal a truth, he doesn't argue, he demonstrates. The same individuals who believed you were beneath them are about to see you excel beyond all they envisioned, not out of vengeance, but because God is a God of glory. The stone the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. Psalm 118:22. They perceived your delay as a sign of failure, while God used that very delay to cultivate depth. They ridiculed your cocoon, but they failed to notice the wings developing within. Now, they'll witness you soar without access to the skies you yearned for. The deeper truth is that if God had silenced their voices too soon, you wouldn't have recognized his faithfulness. You wouldn't have understood the power of being sheltered in the shadows. You wouldn't have grasped that divine justice always surpasses human vindication. Their scoffing mirrored your reality, revealing their true selves, showing you your worth. and now signaling to the world that mocking a chosen one comes with consequences. But don't settle back just yet, because God's not through. The stage is set, the audience is watching, and the same voices that once derided you are about to witness something they can't comprehend. They're going to see you in spaces they never imagined, holding blessings they claimed you'd never acquire, speaking with authority they thought you'd never possess. And when they ask, "How did this happen?" the only answer will be God. Now stay with me, because in the next segment we will unveil the extraordinary shift that is already taking place. You're not merely rising, you're becoming a symbol, a sign, a warning, a vessel. And trust me, once we unveil this next dimension, you'll understand why they're now observing you with both awe and fear. Ready? Let's continue. The elevation has just begun. They once looked down on you. Some might have rolled their eyes when you spoke of dreams, while others dismissed you out of arrogance. They murmured, "Who do they think they are? Always so spiritual, always talking about destiny." What they failed to recognize was that your delay wasn't defeat. It was divine design. It was a synchronization of heaven's timing with your journey. Now, the divine reversal is fully activated. God is turning the tables with such force that the same ones who once overlooked you are now staring with wide eyes, clenched jaws, and silenced mouths. They struggle to comprehend it because they witnessed your tears, your struggles, and your moments in the shadows. Now, they're seeing you stand in a brilliance they cannot articulate and cannot ignore. This isn't simply an upgrade, it's a supernatural repositioning. You didn't climb a ladder, you were lifted by the breath of God, transitioning from being overlooked to being overtaken by glory, from merely surviving in silence to shaking the very atmospheres with your presence. Why? Because the season of reversal isn't about retribution. It's about revealing who truly holds God's favor. The last shall indeed be first, shall be last. Matthew 20:16. This is not karma. This is not chance. This is divine justice, and divine justice flows like a river, slow initially, but once it starts, it's unstoppable. The people who once thought you were too spiritually intense are now quietly observing your every move. Those who labeled you as overly emotional are beginning to feel the heat of your discernment. Your transformation is not just physical, it's energetic, it's anointed, and it's territorial. Just your presence now alters the atmosphere. People sense it. They feel it deep within their spirit, even if they can't comprehend it rationally. You're not merely doing better. You've become a living contradiction to everything they believed about you. You used to enter rooms and shrink back. Now you arrive, and the spiritual environment shifts. You carry weight, not from ego, but from glory. The same individuals who labeled you delusional are now repeating your words. Those who once declared, "You'll never make it," are now asking, "How did you achieve this?" And here's the divine twist. God is not just elevating you, He's doing it in a way that's meant for those who need to witness it the most. Your movements carry an important message. Your breakthroughs serve as warnings. There's a divine fingerprint on how you've been shattered, silenced, and then suddenly made visible. This is the kind of reversal that doesn't register with the carnal mind, as it isn't grounded in hard work, but in holy alignment. You weren't laboring to please mankind. You were waiting for God's signal. And now that He has released you, no one can halt the momentum that's been ignited. He's reworking relationships, shifting influence, and opening doors that don't yield to social status, but rather to spiritual authority. Those who believed they could impede your progress are now watching as God completely bypasses their systems. They mistook this for competition. They didn't realize it was a calling. They tried to control the outcome, not knowing that God was the one writing your story. You aren't where you are because of luck. You're shining because it's divinely ordained. You stand in this reversal because God wanted to establish that when He marks a life, He finishes what He starts, and He initiated something within you that no betrayal, delay, or assault could ever extinguish. But take heed. Just because you're on the rise, it doesn't mean the challenges have ceased. In fact, the heat is being turned up because the higher God elevates you, the more people will try to reinterpret your journey. Some will declare, "I always believed in you," while others may attempt to return, not to celebrate your accomplishments, but to access what God has built around you. Here comes the next revelation. What do you do when people desire your presence but failed to honor your pain? Stay with me, for in this next segment, we will unveil the hidden motives, the return of insincere supporters, the clout chasers, the energy drainers, and how God is granting you spiritual insight to safeguard your boundaries at this new level. You don't want to miss this. The shift is underway. The reversal is activated, and discernment is your protection. Let's delve deeper. This moment is more than elevation. It's a battle in disguise. They didn't reach out when you were silent. They didn't cover you in prayer when you were broken. They lacked faith in you when your process seemed like failure. But now, your name resonates. Your light is undeniable. The same individuals who ghosted you during your wilderness experience are attempting to knock on your door, not out of love, but because they recognize what God is doing. And here's where the real danger lies. The enemy often doesn't come to destroy through outright confrontation. Sometimes he masquerades as reconnection. Not every "I miss you" carries sincerity. Not every "let's catch up" is genuine. Some are spiritual fishing expeditions designed to gain access to the oil they never paid the price to carry. Not all want to reconnect. Some are returning to siphon what you've constructed in your absence. They scoffed when you were low, yet now they're eager to post about you. They spoke ill behind your back, but now they wish to stand by your side to gain favor from the divine work unfolding in your life. This is spiritual opportunism, and without discernment, you could confuse familiarity with loyalty. Understand this. Just because someone knew you before the glory doesn't mean they've ever aligned with your purpose. Don't let those who abandoned you in the pit share a table with you in the palace. There's peril in letting those who ridiculed your journey now bask in your success. Many have returned not to support you, but to study, to replicate, to dilute, or to distract. They see your shine, yet fail to respect the grind. They covet the results, but shy away from the refinement. They seek access, but resist accountability. If you're not careful, you might start feeling guilty about your growth. You could find yourself shrinking to fit familiar patterns, inviting back what God sought to free you from just to fill a sense of loneliness. Don't allow nostalgia to reforge chains. Don't confuse history with destiny. Many are only returning now because they see you've entered a fruitful season. Remember, the same voices saying, "You inspire me," once claimed, "You'll never succeed." The same hands reaching out to aid you now were once throwing stones at your name in silence. The truth reveals they don't truly miss you. They long for what being associated with you now symbolizes. Your brilliance makes them feel significant. Your progress connects them to something divine. Yet their intentions remain tainted, uncomfortable, and unsure. This is why God is urging you to refine your discernment. As you rise, you must vigilantly guard your gates, not out of arrogance, but out of spiritual integrity. You now carry oil, and oil is precious. Not everyone who celebrates your victory is deserving of your vulnerability. The anointing upon your life attracts those who would drain, imitate, or manipulate. You must evaluate every reconnection through the lens of spirit, not emotion, for the adversary is sly, and if he can't hinder your elevation, he'll attempt to infiltrate it. Do not allow counterfeit supporters to taint the sanctity of what God has bestowed upon you. This season necessitates that you differentiate between genuine covenant relationships and recycled convenience, destiny helpers from data gatherers, committed allies from mere curious onlookers. Your table is set, but not every familiar face merits a new seat. So be still, be wise, and unapologetically uphold your standards. Because elevation without discernment introduces danger, and the harsh reality is that some of those seeking to return still harbor doubt about you. They simply don't wish to be sidelined anymore. However, here's the twist. The more you deny the wrong energies, the more space God will create for new alliances. You'll attract those who appreciate you, not for your glow, but for your grit, not for your platform, but for your heart. And that's where we're headed next. This subsequent section will reveal a spiritual shift in perception. How those who once feared your vulnerability are now intimidated by your strength. They're unsure how to communicate with you anymore because they're bewildered by how the individual they once mocked has now become a source of tension for them. Stay tuned, because the next revelation isn't just meant to empower you. It will silence every false narrative ever directed at your life. Ready? Let's dive even deeper. There has been a shift in the atmosphere. You can feel it, sense it. Before they say a word, you can perceive the change. Their tone has morphed. Their gazes linger a little longer. Their voices tremble slightly when they mention your name. Something has transformed within you, and they can't quite articulate it. The same people who once ridiculed your quietness, who chuckled at your spiritual expressions, who dismissed your purpose as fantasy, are now observing, absorbing, speaking your name with an unsettling blend of respect and fear. You've become a paradox to them. How did the one they scorned now evoke admiration from afar? How did the one they belittled rise so far above the clamor that their opinions cease to matter? They're torn between celebrating you and protecting themselves from the God who clearly accompanies you. Deep within, they're gradually realizing they weren't mocking you. They were scoffing at the hand of God. And now, the glory is unmistakable. The weight you bear is impossible to ignore. The oil present in your life is seeping through your words, your eyes, and your being. You have become living proof of what they never anticipated. Touch not my anointed, and do my prophets no harm. Psalm 105:15. This is more than about cataloging respect. It's about conviction. They're feeling it now, haunted by memories of their past mockery. They're scoffing when you spoke of purpose, their chatter behind your back when you were fasting, praying, and waiting. Now they stand face to face with a version of you that they struggle to recognize, yet can't dismiss. You walk differently now, You speak with divine authority. You may move quietly, but in the spirit, your steps create reverberations. You're no longer chasing validation. You've become affirmation, confirmation that God indeed uplifts the humble, confirmation that the rejected can ascend to royalty, confirmation that when humanity claims something is impossible, heaven responds with, "Just watch me." And herein lies the spiritual twist. Your ascent wasn't merely a promotion, it served as a revelation. God didn't elevate you for applause. He elevated you to display what transpires when someone stands resolute amidst adversity, someone who refuses to yield to worldly pressures, who doesn't abandon the promises whispered in sacred moments. You are now a living aftershock, testimony to everything that God can do. They attempted to stifle you, yet you emerge as the living testament to what was foretold. They sought to disrupt your journey with whispers of envy, skepticism, and disbelief. That's why they feel your presence now, not out of fear for retribution, but because your very essence reveals the deception they clung to. They once believed that someone like you would never ascend, that you could never hold significance. But now, you stand not in arrogance, but in strength, not in pride, but in undeniable proof. You are no longer just acknowledged. You are revered. You are not merely heard. You are profoundly felt. You've become a reflection that they dread confronting. For when they gaze upon you, they see the blessings they squandered, the opportunities they misused, and the grace they took for granted. And now, your name is spoken with caution, mentioned in rooms with an air of hesitation, as if anticipating the rumble of thunder following your mention. They realize their opposition wasn't merely against you, but against the divine purpose instilled within you, a confrontation that bears consequences. A sacred awe accompanies the chosen, not to instill fear like a tyrant, but to carry a spirit that unsettles the small-minded. You need not amplify your voice. Your fruits bear witness. You don't have to prove anything. Your tranquility unsettles chaos. That's the reality unfolding before you now. So how do you navigate this unfamiliar tension, this delicate equilibrium of admiration juxtaposed with evasion, the glances that say, "I honor you, but I'm uncertain how to approach you"? You embrace the uncertainty because it's not merely about you. It's about what you signify. You are living testimony that those who brave the flames emerge bearing the fragrance of the divine. That is why they whisper in your presence, why they feel an uneasiness when you smile, and why they are unsure of how to react upon your arrival. They are torn between applause and repentance. Yet, hold on. The unfolding is not over. You've witnessed the dramatic shifts. You've seen the skeptics transform into the cautious. You've sensed the change in their demeanor. But now, in this pivotal moment, we unearth the purpose behind all that you have endured, the reason for the trials, the laughter at your cost, the silence, and now, the spotlight shining upon you. The answer transcends your personal story. It's more significant than those who opposed you, larger than yourself. In the grand finale, we will reveal the heavenly design that underlies your metamorphosis and why you were not just chosen to emerge, but to awaken others along the way. The final truth approaches, a revelation that will shift your entire perspective. Let's bring this home, chosen one. You were never a punchline. You were the hidden strength they failed to acknowledge in time. You were the seed they buried, not realizing it would flourish into a thriving forest. They misinterpreted your silence as weakness, and your solitude as abandonment by God. Yet heaven was merely tightening the grip on your destiny. Now, that silence speaks like thunder. Your radiance has become undeniable, and your presence now holds prophetic weight. This wasn't merely a comeback, it was a divine revelation. You were not clawing for attention, you were being prepared for greatness. From overlooked to overqualified, from ridicule to recognition, from dismissal to revival. This is not about vengeance, it's about redemption. This isn't vanaglory, it's irrefutable proof that you are the prophecy that endured. You are the testimony they sought to erase. You are the weapon that was forged and has now thrived. And now, the very world that spurned you will be forced to witness your ascent. Let their laughter linger. Let their whispers flow. Let them remember the version of you they once disregarded. For when God transforms the narrative, no one can rewrite the conclusion. You were never meant to conform. You were always designed to create an atmosphere. You were chosen to be uplifted, not merely to be liked, to inspire generations rather than simply entertain crowds. You are not finished. You are just beginning to unfold, and your legacy is being inscribed into the annals of divine history. If this message resonates with your spirit, engage now and boldly affirm, I am rising. Let the adversary hear it. Let your past sense it. Let every setback understand your return is imminent, wearing a crown. Comment below. They had their laugh too early. Connect with us at Heaven Whispers for more divine insights, because this is your spiritual sanctuary now. Share this message with another chosen soul, destined to shake the very ground beneath them. And remember, when heaven declares it's time, no demon, doubt, or delay can keep you hidden. Rise, roar, and never shrink back again. This is your moment. This is your evidence. This is your elevation. Let them observe. Let them grieve. Let them experience what transpires when God declares, that one belongs to me.